Hey, so time for the real stuff. In this video, I animated the storyline so far in the D&D campaign I am involved in. This campaign is DM'd by Jeremiah, and yeah, we'll learn about the characters later. Alright, let's go. So the story begins where we are all in a world called Labroania, which was supposed to be a land at peace. But there was some disturbed story of a lost half-god sort of being that had something to do with the island in the middle of Labroania, but we'll cover that later. The group had met up in a pretty big city called Forglen, where immediately we searched for a tavern. It didn't take us that long, but may I mention that we were all new players in a big city, so we haven't necessarily grown out of our experimental phase, and chaos was just waiting to happen. Levi and Booyah looked over to see a group of dwarves playing cards, so naturally they went over to talk to them, and naturally one of the players got suspicious of one of the dwarves' beards, so naturally one of our players stuck their hand in the guy's beard. Also, let me mention that Namfoodle stood up on stage while a guy was already performing and started singing. This was all happening while I was ordering food for me and Peter. Peter is not me in this case. Peter is actually my pet mouse, who I extremely adore and take with me everywhere I go. And actually, the idea of me and a mouse came from a previous campaign where I accidentally suffocated a mouse and named it Peter. Anyway, we didn't last long in that tavern. The bartender was not pleased and told us to leave and never come back. Now, the bartender reacted like any bartender would do, but this guy was actually the king's brother, which I actually thought was curious as to why he was not a prince, and still seems like there's more to his backstory. Anyway, after being kicked out of the tavern, we wanted to explore the city some more. While doing so, we came across a poor man frantically looking for his daughter, and he was desperate and hadn't told us what took her, but we knew that we would be walking into trouble. We traveled west to an old temple guarded with two skeletons, and we also discovered the skeleton's weakness by accident. We continue into the temple to find these shadow beast things, and we had never encountered them before. Their strategy of attack was to suck your soul or something, like a Dementor. Yes, think of a Dementor. Not only would you take damage, but your strength would decrease by 1, so you could see that turning out pretty bad after a while. Later on in the fight, a skeleton horse was released, but thanks to Levi, we knew its weakness. And ironically, Levi ended up fighting this thing head to head. He was practically fighting the horse from underneath it. And in the climax of it all, the last remaining Shadow Beast brought out a frail little girl in a cage and plopped it on the altar. He was planning a sacrifice. This girl, Sophia, clearly had her strength sucked away multiple times, and she looked horrified. Levi was just on a killing spree that day and finished off the horse and the last Shadow Beast. After a while of healing and eating and resting, we returned Sophia and found a new tavern to milk at. Now, here's where things get odd. We head out of the tavern and we see that the streets are completely empty and a storm cloud appeared right over our lane.
Oh god, everyone back inside.
But before we could move, a monstrous being emerges from the thunder, you know how it is, and says,
You pose no threat, but I feel I should warn you of my power.
And in one motion of his hand drains the life of Chidima as she falls to the ground. Alright, so that's where we will leave off for today. This all happened in a single session, and there's no way I can keep up if I always do a video per session. So in the future, I'll have to combine multiple sessions into one video. But that's it. Thanks for watching.